2, 1. Let's go. Welcome to the Fiction Addiction Podcast, a podcast where we go one-on-one with fiction creators, such as authors, filmmakers, actors, songwriters, and more. Each episode, we get the inside scoop on our guests' creative process, the ups and downs of their industries, and our guests also give out tips and tricks that help them become successful. And now, let's jump into the episode with your host, Chris C.L. Lowry.
All right. Welcome back to the Fiction Addiction Podcast. My next guest works for the federal government and has a MBA in business administration. Her writing experience ranges from technical writing of government policies to a former local recording artist who expressed lyrically through years of songwriting. She won the 2007 Creative Communication Poetry Contest with her poem, My Impression, which was published in Celebrate, Poets Speak Out. This gave her the extra confidence to share her contagious sense of humor and led to her creating the hilarious Smart Alec-Alex chapter book series. Ladies and gentlemen, Taunya Said. Taunya, what is going on?
Hey, Chris, how are you? Everything is everything. I am doing great. In light of what's going on in the world today, I really can't complain.
All right. So first things first, obviously you just mentioned it, the global pandemic currently going on. How are you dealing with it?
Because I'm a diabetic, I have to be very careful. I am one of those who have what they call the underlying issue. So I'm very, very cautious about what I do and the people that I'm around and where I go. I know that there are some things that you just can't get around. But at the same time, you try to be as cautious as possible. I do wear a mask and I do wear the plastic gloves and everything. So, basically, right now I'm kind of stationary because the governor of Maryland has issued a warning where we are to stay off the streets after 8 o'clock tonight. Only those who are essential can go out to go to work, and that would be your grocery stores and police and fire and all that other good stuff. My daughter works for the police department here in Maryland, so she's one of the essential people that have to go to work. Outside of that, I'm just chilling. I'm relaxed, really. I am enjoying my time. The federal government is working at home. Everybody is at home working, so for me, it's just chill. So I'm in light of what's going on. I really feel for a lot of people that are catching this disease, whether they are not having any symptoms, down to the ones who are actually losing their lives. It's sad. It's horrific. I really think at this point, with what's going on in the world today, and I don't know everybody's religion, but I think at this point, God is starting to talk.
So how long, in your opinion, do you think this is going to last? These stay-at-home orders from all these states and obviously the country.
Well, according to the president, it was supposed to be until Easter, but they have extended it. They have extended it to April 30th. But honestly, I hate to be pessimistic about the whole situation, but I just don't see how we could cover ourselves from it. Because, even though the essential people have to go to work, they are allowing us to go to the store, grocery and get necessities and stuff like that. Because I really feel that this virus is kind of airborne. I don't see how we can really get away from it. For me, like I said, it's just it's by the grace of God. If you do or don't get it, actually, there are some people who are carriers and don't even know it, that are not having any symptoms. But the ones who are susceptible to it can catch it easily just being around that person or touching something that they have touched. So I really don't know how long this is going to last, but it's really putting a damper on what I'm trying to do, especially when it comes to the books, because I have actually booked book festivals every month until the end of the year. But everything is being postponed or canceled due to the pandemic.
So as a mother, you mentioned your daughter is on the police department.
Mm-hmm.
What are your concerns for her? Because obviously some of the numbers that are coming out are incredible in terms of the officers and law enforcement that are affected. The NYPD said they reported over 500 officers testing positive. They talked about thousands of them being sick.
Yes.
Detroit police, they put out over, I think, almost 300 of their officers have tested positive. So as a parent, how concerned are you for your daughter, obviously dealing with the public during this time?
I'm very concerned. I'm actually afraid, because my daughter is asthmatic. She's not a cop. She is a 911 operator, so she deals with a lot when it comes to taking in calls and what's going on around the city. So I just talk to her as much as possible to make sure that she is aware of what's going on. She's young. She just turned 24. So, sometimes they don't take these things seriously, like the kids that are on spring break down in Florida and they all in the beach and they having a ball. They always think that they're exempt, but they're not. So I try to warn her as much as possible to just go straight to work, do what she needs to do, and then go straight home. The police officers where she is, they actually kind of stay out of the station. Where she is isolated, so they really don't have any contact with one another because she's kind of behind a shield, bulletproof shield. So she's not in contact with the officers that come in and out. But I went to visit her a couple of days ago to take something for her. Everybody's running around looking for toilet paper and paper towels. So I took her some down to her job so she could take it home with her when she got off. And all the officers were just standing out, in the parking lot. And so they don't even go into the station. And any kind of communications that they do or have with the people inside are via, I guess, email or the systems that they use to communicate with the operators. So, I'm just hoping that it stays the way it is right now. Where she is, there has not been any cases. So I'm hoping it stays that way because I think prior to this happening, maybe 3 weeks prior to all this happening, she had a severe asthma attack. She wanted to basically volunteer at an adoption for dogs and cats. And dogs, she's okay with, but I think cats is what kind of basically set her off, and she went into a attack, and it was a severe attack. So I was pretty nervous about that. So yeah, it is a little scary, but she's doing her job. She's doing what she needs to do, and all I can do is pray on it.
Now you also mentioned all those kids down on spring break, the young people. Obviously, there has been some concern of them not taking it serious. Some of the comments of the kids on spring break that were interviewed, they didn't care.
No.
They didn't care at all. Broward County, Florida, they just had hundreds of people block traffic on the highway to throw a party in their cars and all, just a bunch of nonsense. I think it's ironic because I saw a post online and it says, a quick reminder that if the roles were reversed and young people were more likely to die from the virus, our parents and grandparents would do absolutely anything and everything to save us. And as we know, older people and people with underlying issues are more at risk. But what do you think about that post in terms of knowing our generation, and if we were told to social distance back in the 90s or the early 2000s, it wouldn't even be a question. You know what I mean? In terms of of doing it. But now in this era, it's kind of hard to reel the young people in for a life saving pandemic. So what do you think that contributes to that problem?
I think where it actually started is uh, allowing these kids to call 911 when they're babies if they're getting a spanking. I think it generates from there. You know, when we were coming up, we were definitely afraid of our parents. So just give us one look or to grit your teeth was enough for us
Right.
to straighten up. But these kids today, there is no, to me, it just appears that there is no fear. They don't fear the adults today, the cops. I remember at one point in time when you came across a police officer, you respected that officer and you did what you were told to do, but they don't do that today. I think the kids today are just so carefree. It's like whatever goes. When I was coming up, if you had a pair of Jordache or Gloria Vanderbilt jeans, then you were with the in crowd. Today's kids, they wear what they want, however they want. There is no specific style. And they just, do as they want to do. And I'm okay with that. But my thing is be responsible. And in this situation, you have to be responsible. And, ask yourself the biggest question of all. Do you value your life? Some
Right.
do, and then some don't. And there are a lot that, I know when I was coming up, I was one of those that really felt like I was exempt from a lot of things, not to put nobody on the spot, but my mother used to always say, don't you go over in Southeast. Don't go over in Southeast Washington. But a lot of my friends lived over in that area. So, and I lived out in Maryland. So if I wanted to hang out with my friends, I would go over to Southeast or what have you. Not even thinking about, something could happen to me over there. Every other day there's something going on in Southeast. But, when we're young, we just think, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to be all right. Stop worrying.
Right.
Now that I'm an adult and I have a child of my own, I worry just as much. And it doesn't even matter how old she is. That's my one and only. So I'm going to worry.
Now, you also mentioned earlier about book events being canceled, things you signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
This obviously the pandemic has taken a great toll on the economy. Businesses are laying off millions of people. Small
Mm-hmm.
businesses, we have come to the reality because obviously you're an author, so you are a brand, you are a business,
Yes.
and we see the impact something like this happened. And there's only been what's this week 3 of the
Yeah, it's only
actual
been 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and we've seen the impact that it's had on entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
small businesses in terms of items being shipped. Obviously, we have to have books delivered and you have to prepare
Right.
for these events. And like you said, some of them are postponed, but some of them may be canceled, and that's a source of income to keep the business running.
Right.
So how impactful has the pandemic been on your outlook of having your small business and brand moving forward, trying to grow?
I don't look at it as being a negative. Right now, only a couple of them have been postponed because they are vastly approaching. They had one actually in April for PG County for local authors.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, they were kind of holding steady on that until they figured out exactly where was this going to go. So they just basically canceled about a couple of days ago, figuring that, okay, it's not getting any better, it's getting worse.
Right.
And me, I like what I do so much that it hasn't really had an impact on me. I mean, I was a little worried when my new book, I have a new book that just came out about a month ago. And so I put in an order at Amazon to have those books delivered. And then I did get a notice stating that, it may be delayed or I may not get it at all. But it turned out for the better because I got the books. So I didn't have anything to worry about. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully things will clear up and we're able to do this. I try to look at it in different aspects of it. And when I have a regular job, I work for the federal government. So my thing is, should I spend a lot of money to get this thing up and running, or should I not do it? I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I don't have, I need my money now. So I don't have a whole lot of taxes coming out of my check, So, so I need something that's going to supplement it. And how I supplement it would be to spend the money that I'm spending on the things that I want to do within my network that would generally probably cause me to go into the negative. So with that being said, more than likely, I won't have to pay a whole lot of taxes, So,
Right.
I don't look at it as like, well, I'm not getting any money. I'm not doing this for the money, to be honest with you. I'm doing it because I really enjoy doing it. A lot of people have asked me, well, all the giveaways that you give away when you do these book festivals, how are you doing it? How are you getting it? And basically, I'm just spending my own money. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy looking for different types of paraphernalias and things to do to give away to the kids when they buy the book. Even on top of right now, what is working for me the most in this whole mess is the fact that I started selling t-shirts of Smart Alec-Alex in different styles and colors, and sweatshirts. And people are just, basically right now, they kind of eating it up. So that income is keeping me going when I want to do other things or buy things to add to, what it is that I'm going to give to the kids once they buy my book. I'm giving away backpacks. I'm giving away like mood cups. I'm giving away, I think, is it called lanyards that go around your neck? All kinds of stuff when they buy the book. It's like they're getting a full package when they buy the book. It's just something that I really enjoy doing, and it makes me happy when I see them happy. So, like I said, the t-shirts and the sweatshirts are doing very well. And my daughter, she's the one that does my PR, and she maintains my website so people can go out there and order. And I'm the one that's actually doing them. I do not have a company that is doing mass production for me. I am actually customizing each shirt that someone orders from me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So how have you been dealing with the quarantine and creating still? Do you still have, obviously you have more time now. Like you mentioned, you got the church and things like that. So how have you been dealing with creating during this time as well?
Since I've already finished and published the second book about a month ago, right now I'm kind of taking a break because there's some things that I wanted to do around the house while I have this time. But like I said earlier, I'm enjoying my time at home, relaxing, because usually my day is very hectic and I'm just always on the go. So this gives me a chance to kind of lay back and chill. And I'm like halfway through the third book. So it gives me an opportunity to sit down and complete that. So I'm enjoying my time. Like I said, it's unfortunate what we're going through, but at the same time, it allows me to do some of the other things around the house outside of my creating the books. I still do a little bit of the music. I, in fact, cranked up my studio today and worked on, I kind of worked on a theme background music for Smart Alec-Alex. So I'm just a busybody. It's like whatever.
Now, speaking on your creating and your writing, when did you begin writing? When did your journey start?
I think my journey started when actually I have a best friend that used to read all the African American books. And we would go to a mall called PG Plaza. And there they had Caribou Bookstore. And I just thought it was amazing when we would go there that it would be so many females in there and they would be buying at least 4 to 5 books. And I mean, the conversations they would have about what was going on in that book, and don't read that one first because this one is going to lead into that one. This one goes after this book. So it was just really fascinating to me. And I'm always like, if they can do it, I can do it too, type of deal. And because, I write songs or enjoy writing songs, I figured, well, how hard can this be? And so I started writing a novel of my own called Tapping into New York. And it was one of those novels that was like zing. It was just off the hook. But but at the same time, I'm just such a kid at heart. I am so Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones that, financially, I was still in the government and I needed to get a part-time job to pay something off. I'm not sure what it was at the time. And while I was doing it, it was a telemarketing kind of job. And it was basically interviewing people in regards to radio and television. And if you know telemarketing, a lot of people don't want to be dealing with that. They don't want to be bothered with that. So you either get a no or they hang up on you. Well, I was getting a lot of no's and I was getting hung up on. So, I was like, okay, I really don't want to do this, but I need the money. So on my spare time, I just started writing. And I was thinking about myself as a child and my daughter at the time. And I started jotting down a lot of the little silly things that we ran across or did or things that we saw that we would talk about. And before I knew it, the things that I wrote down had became a story. Not sure how I came up with Smart Alec-Alex. It just seemed like something that would roll off of your tongue. I'm always looking for something very catchy and something that would draw you in. And I thought about myself as a child. I was a smart aleck. I don't care what you had to say. I had something to come back with, and I still do as an adult. So I basically just, some people say, well, you do things a little backwards. And I do. It's like some people will write a song, the lyrics, and then add the music. Me, I want you to give me the music and then I add the lyrics. And it was the same thing with me writing the book. I would actually write the title and the content of the book before I would actually write the book. And it became easier for me. And before I knew it, I had a children's book and decided that I wanted to turn it into a chapter series. I did publish it. This was about 10 years ago. But I don't think I was as serious as I am today. So basically, I inquired the help of a vanity company, which is a self-publishing company, but they do everything for you and you pay them to do it, which was a wrong move because all they do is take your money and they don't do anything with your product.
Damn.
So I just let it go and I didn't do anything else with it. Fast forward, my daughter's in college and she graduates and my best friend is like, I really still think that you have something with Smart Alec-Alex. You really need to get back to that and do something with it and finish it because you really didn't see it through like I think you should have. And even though I felt within myself that it would be something really good and it would, probably reach a broad audience and a lot of people would like it. I still my mind was not set on it. And for, I think, at least a year, I still didn't do anything about it. And then one day I just woke up and boom, it hit me. I got the inspiration and I started writing. I looked at what I already had and tweaked it and decided, okay, well, I don't want to go through a vanity company. So how do I do this on my own? I don't want to go through like a popular publishing company because then I'm not going to have that control. I am a creative person and I like to have control over whatever it is that I'm creating. So I got on Facebook and I happened to scroll by illustrators and writers chat group. And it says something about, if you wanted to join, this is what you would do. So I did. I joined. And for about a month or so, I looked at a lot of the things that people were chatting about, questions that they were asking. And I realized that this was basically a help group. And so I started asking questions and they were very nice, very receptive. There was a lot of guidance. And so basically I started feeding off of that. So what is my next step? I have the story, but now in the last book, I didn't have any illustrations, but this book I do. And I wanted illustrations in this book. So how do I find an illustrator? Once you put it out there within the group, the illustrators they flocked all around you like flies. Check my stuff out. Right. It was like, here's my website. Check me out, this and that and the other. And so when I started seeing a lot of the websites that they were putting out there of their work, I came across this one guy. And for the life of me, I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name is Kastaf. And he's in India. And when I looked at his work, I said, wow, he's exactly what I'm looking for. I had already drawn Alex myself because I went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia when I was younger. So I was definitely into art. And so I got in touch with him and I gave him what I had and I asked him, all the logistics. And I told him, now you take this and make it your own. Let me see what you come up with just by what I'm giving you here. And then voila, Alex was born. Everybody loves her. They love her look. So now I'm like, okay, I got the illustrator. Now what's next? And the next thing was to acquire an editor. And that to me was kind of hard because the first book I did, I actually got my ex-husband's father, which he was a professor at Howard University, to edit my first book. Well, this is supposed to be hilarious and fun, but he took all the funny parts out of it when he edited. So I realized that he was just not the right person. So, when I went out to the chat room and told them, what I was thinking and what I went through, one lady approached me. Her name was Debbie Momber. I think her name is Cupford. Debbie Momber Cupford. And so she was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. When it comes to an editor, you must pair up with someone who understands what you're trying to do. Exactly. If your book is supposed to be funny or hilarious, then the editor needs to understand that and feed off of that. And so she says, so I know how to do that if you would like to work with me. And so I did. I hired her to do the editing. And me being who I am, I gave her my manuscript to look at, to edit. And it didn't take her long. I think within a week, she sent it back. When I opened up what she gave me, I was mortified. Because really? Because the whole thing was red. It had so many red markings. It was crazy. And so I got offended. Really, I did. I got offended. And I was like, what is she talking about? I didn't even read what it is that she had replaced it with or her suggestions. All I saw was red. And I had to close it, and my best friend is like, no, you can't be like that. Because she is here to help you. And being that she's a professional, she knows what she's doing. You have to take the constructive criticism and then turn it around into whatever it is that it's supposed to be. And so I did. I looked at her work, and actually a lot of things that she said made a lot of sense. And so at this point, I'm thinking, how do I change all the things that she's requesting me to change? Because even though she's giving me suggestions, I don't want to take all of her suggestions, because if I do, she may as well write the book instead of me.
Yeah. Right.
So it took me a minute, took me a couple of weeks to get through it. And I gave it back to her. And she was like, wow, this is like 110% much better. And long story short, even working with her in the second book, she's like, I really didn't have to do too much because you get it. You actually got it. And I follow her steps as far as what I need to do and how I need to do the book in order to get my message across, especially when you're dealing with young children. And it being hilarious, because some of the things I think I was a little off the chain with. And so she had to bring it down a notch for me. And so now I'm cognizant about doing that myself. Understand I'm dealing with 9 to 12-year-olds. So, I can't be too out there with the hilarity. But now it definitely has resonated within me, and she's helped me to become a better writer.
Wow.
So we got through the editing part of it. And so what's next? The next thing would be the formatter. This is the person who is actually taking the illustrations and the editing of the whole book and then putting it all together piece by piece and actually giving you your finished product. This person, her name is Toby. And mind you, all the people that I'm dealing with are all over the world, because one is in Europe, one is in India, and I think the formatter, she's here in Wisconsin somewhere. But I have been blessed and lucky to have found a fantastic team. They have done my stuff a world of justice, and I couldn't be happier with the people that I'm dealing with right now. So, after that, you upload your book to Kindle Direct Publishing, and voila. And then there's your finished product. It's been very rewarding for me. And I mean, it can be a little expensive, but like I said, the people that I've come across winded up believing in me and have done me a world of justice. So I don't mind spending what I've spent to get the product that I have. And then, like I said, they really weren't as expensive as I thought they would be.
Oh yeah, because some of the stuff you're talking about, thousands and thousands of
It
dollars.
is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's a lot of money. It can be. And see, I felt like the black sheep of the family when it comes to the illustrators and writers, whether it be just the illustrators and writers, but I also, with the illustrators and writers for African American people, a lot of them deal with books that are from ages like 3 to 8. So those type of books are just full color books. Right. Where they're like 20 to 25 pages of just full color, and you got, maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 4 sentences per cover or page. Mine's is an actual chapter book. And if you look at some of the chapter books that are out today, they do not have pictures in it. But I was one of those who's like, okay, as coming up, I was not a reader unless I had some pictures. And so I made it my business to have the illustrator do at least one illustration per chapter. And each book has 12 chapters in it. So he would do the color, back and front cover, and then he would do also 12 illustrations that go in the book. And those 12 illustrations in the book are black and white.
Mm.
So it's definitely pleasing to the eye. The illustrations are just as funny as the story. It goes along with the story. I've gotten some reviews from, a couple of kid reviewers. I wanted to get their take on it. One of the first book reviews I did, or actually book festivals that I did, was here in DC during the Christmas season. And when I was doing this particular book festival, I was kind of in tears because it turned out so well. But what really got to me was there was a lady that walked up to me with her daughter, and her daughter had on a Catholic uniform. I found that to be a little strange on a Saturday morning. But she was like, yeah, I'm here with my daughter, and she wants to get her book signed. And actually, her teacher is on the way. I said, oh, okay. I didn't think no more of it when she said her teacher was on the way. But I think like 5 minutes later, the teacher showed up. But the teacher actually showed up with her whole class. And I was like, wow, what's going on? And the teacher came to me and she introduced herself. She let me know that they had chosen my book as the book of the month, and that her 5th grade class was reading this book, and she had created a full curriculum around the story. And because the 5th graders are getting ready to head into the 6th grade, the Smart Alec-Alex Changing Schools and Classroom Rules was perfect in her mind because it allowed them to get an idea of what they would be faced with when they go into the 6th grade. And now the 6th graders are actually changing classes. They're not just in one class. And when she found out, and I asked her, I said, well, how did you find out about me? And how did you find out that I was going to be here? Well, she told me that she heard my interview on the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I did Bobby Gale's Taking It to the Street for WHUR with Renee Nash and Bobby Gale's. And it was broadcasted during the Steve Harvey Morning Show. She said she was on her way to school and she heard about it. And so she bought the book and then she read it herself before she presented it to the class. And, and that's how that came about. And then I think she went to my website and found out that I was going to be at that particular mall during the Christmas season and decided to bring the class with her because they all wanted to get their books signed and take pictures and all that stuff. And I was just in tears because it was just a shock to me. It was a total surprise. It was nothing that I had ever dreamed about. And then afterwards, she wrote me a letter and sent the letter to me, and I had to frame it. But it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So, I try to in me having this book festival and being in the book festival and all, I had people give me their email addresses so they would know when the next books were coming out.
Right.
And so I just did that recently. So it's been a fast ride because here we are. It's March going on April, and I got started in October. So it's not that,
Of 2019?
Yes.
Oh wow, yeah, that's definitely.
Yes, I was. This ride has been a fast ride. And I just can't believe it. And I'm just really embracing it and enjoying it. It's definitely keeping me busy. Like I said, especially the t-shirts. I'm at the point now where I probably do need to find someone to help me with mass production because it's getting a little out of hand. But a lot of people like the characters and like the way they look, and the t-shirts that I'm doing. Some would say that, that looks expensive. Well, I'm just one of those who, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, and I like the best of the best. So a lot of the things that I'm using like varsity letters and stuff like that you would use on college paraphernalias and stuff like that.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode of the Fiction Addiction Podcast by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
Now, why is that important for you to have, like you said, you want the best of the best? Why is that important for you and your brand?
Because it's something that you're going to remember. You're going to remember it, and I'm going to remember it. And that's just who I am. I like the best of the best. I always go above and beyond in any of my creations. Once I saw, it was one of the guys that was at that particular festival, and he only had one shirt. And I asked him, I said, where's the rest of the shirt? So he said, I only got one left. So, I picked it up and I felt it. And it was very, very soft, but very thin. And I'm like, Every company that I went to actually do it, to see how much it was going to cost, was just way above my budget. And so me being who I am, like I said, I went to art school and all that other stuff. I just like trying new things and creating. I said to myself, well, I can do this myself. Let me just go to one of these little art stores. And I started going to Michael's and Hobby Lobby. And Hobby Lobby was the best because they have all kinds of t-shirts, baseball shirts, hoodies, anything you could possibly think of. And then I'm like, okay, well, what can I use to transfer the characters? Because, I do the ones with the characters, and I also do one with just Alex herself. Now, me being the author, I'm usually the one that wears Alex myself. And everybody else, they want something with all the characters on it. So I looked into the heat paper, the kind of paper that would transfer this type of stuff on your garment, and brought it home, put it on the paper, copied it, and printed it out. And it was a lot of trial and error, but that's okay. Yeah, but I kept doing it. Yeah, I kept doing it until I perfected and then taught people how to care for it as well. Because when they buy the t-shirts or the sweatshirts from me, I actually put together a care package with Alex on it that shows you how to care for it so it won't peel and all this other stuff. But then I started looking at the letters, and I'm like, well, I don't want no regular letters. I like these varsity letters with the big, bold varsity letters that come in different colors. They were red and black, and they had all white ones, and they had royal blue. And I just started making all kinds of stuff, and I would just show that to people. And even when I was at that one festival, I had on a white hoodie with just Alex herself, but the varsity letters were blue and white. And one of the ladies was like, wow, are you selling those? And I'm like, eventually, but not right now. I just wanted to see how many people would be interested in it. I went to one of the biggest book festivals in Philadelphia for African American children. And I was a little salty that I couldn't get in on it. But I'm like, well, it's too late. But I still want to check it out. I have a lot of family in Philly. So me and my mom, we rode up anyway. And we went to this book festival before I could, and we purposely wore the paraphernalias. Before I can even get in the building, we had people coming up to me asking, where'd you get that shirt? And it was the hoodie. I had the white one on again, and I made my mother, she had on a gray one with all the characters, and I think her letters were like black and white. But from there, people were asking us, where did we get those hoodies? So when I told them, and I gave them my card for them to check out my website, anybody can order those sweatshirts. And like I said, I'm basically doing them myself. But to answer your question, I just like the best of the best. And I'm very creative. And I like to try different things. I just like the things that look good and think about what other people would like and what would appeal to them and draw to them. And the way I'm doing them is actually working. These people are drawn to it without even knowing anything about Alex or reading the book. It's like, get the t-shirt or get the hoodie, and then I'm telling them about the book. And then, they'll go out and get it, or they can buy it from me. On my website, if you get it from me, then it's I think my daughter has it out there as an autograph copy from me if you order it from the website.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So how much did your education at the Art Institute play into, obviously, your creativity now as a writer and as a businesswoman, period? Because obviously you got the merchandise and apparel out now. So how much did the Art Institute play a factor into that?
That's a hard question because, and the reason why I say that is because it's really not what I wanted to do.
Oh, really?
No, it's not. When I was in high school, I knew I could draw and stuff like that, but I didn't even apply for the Art Institute of Philadelphia. My art teacher somehow talked to somebody there. To be honest with you, I have no idea what happened. All I knew was I got a letter of acceptance. And
really?
Right. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I like art, but my passion at that time was music. I wanted to be Beyonce before Beyonce was Beyonce. So I was like Aaliyah before Aaliyah came out. That was my style. But, my parents were like, oh, the music industry, there's too much going on. There's all this drugs and this and that and the other. They really were not that supportive of it. But the art, they were okay with. And this was during the era, and this is probably going to give away my age, but this was during the era when Madonna first came out. And everybody was wearing the fishnet whatevers and the holy pants and hair all over the place with a ribbon around some part of your hair. You're just looking like a bum. When I went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia, I walked up in there as if I was fashion myself because I refused to look like that. When everybody was sitting on the floor and comparing stories and wanted to know what part of the Art Institute are you in, everyone thought that I was a part of the fashion department when I wasn't. I was a part of the commercial art, which was, they called at that time, visual communication. I actually did ads for John Wanamaker and Tom McGann and stuff like that back in the day. But it was just, for me, I think it was just basically to appease my parents because the music industry was where I wanted to be. I lasted in that school 1 year and then came home, and I think from the age 19 to probably 31, I did the music. So I don't think that the Art Institute had much to do with my writing. Like I said, I'm just one of those that's like, if I see something that interests me, I just automatically just set in my mind that I can do this. When I finally figured out that the music industry, the music was not going to work. I mean, I had my fair share of fun, and I did some backup for some people, and even did my own projects. But I didn't get out there the way I wanted to get out there. And I'm gonna say that back then I was very angry because I'm like, why God would you give me this talent and I can't use it? But, sometimes we have to realize that even though we have that particular talent, that is not always going to be your destiny. Right. So because I'm a creative person, and I never saw myself as being one that wanted to be a boring 9-to-5 type like person, what else is there for me? Creative wise, what else is there? And for some odd reason, Smart Alec-Alex just popped into my head out of nowhere. And even with all that's going on, it's taking a form and shape of its own. I may be the creator, but the people who are actually buying the book or buying the paraphernalias that are really into her, they're the ones that's making the creation a reality.
Now, speaking of Smart Alec-Alex, the actual character stands out so much, and is a character that a lot of minority children will look at and relate to because of the image, because of her characteristics. Obviously, she is a young girl of color. She has the full lips, the afro puffs, the earrings. Her friends are diverse. What was the inspiration behind that to create a young girl character that so many people can relate to?
The inspiration behind the whole perspective of Smart Alec-Alex was, for years, I would go into a bookstore, and like I said, I'm a kid at heart. Even buying books for my daughter, she was reading Junie B. Jones or Amelia Bedelia or Goosebumps, books like that. There was not many African American books out there that basically showed her who she was. Being that my daughter is mixed, she still identifies herself as being African American. Actually, if you saw her, you probably wouldn't know what she is, but actually she's African descent because her father's from Kenya. So a lot of people, I have mixed breeds on my side of the family. My grandfather and grandmother were white. But my mom or my dad is African American. But we've always basically identified as being African Americans. So when I look at some of the literature out there for African American kids, and don't get me wrong, I'm okay with it, but there needs to be more. When I look at what's already out there, it's always teaching our kids about our skin color or our hair or bullying. There's always something teaching us about something. But when you look at the Caucasian books, they may have those type of things too, but a lot of their books are just strictly fun, just strictly entertainment. Right. And that's what I was missing with African American books for children. Where are the ones that are just strictly for fun and entertainment, especially in the era that we're living in today? These kids, it just seems like they just can't be kids. like we were growing up. We would go outside and play. There wasn't a whole lot of violence or worrying about whether or not, somebody's going to take your child or drive-by shootings and stuff like that. The kids today, they have a lot to worry about, and they really shouldn't. They should be just kids, just ordinary kids, not having a whole lot to worry about. And so that's where Alex came from. Because she does relate to a lot of the African American kids today, because we all have a mouth on us. and we all have gotten, backhand in the lips for saying something we ain't had no business saying. Now, although her character is not disrespectful, she's just one of those that thinks she knows everything. She's just one of those annoying little kids that's like, no, I'm always right and you're wrong and you need to listen to me type of deal, but it's in a hilarious way. And basically the antics that her and her best friends, the situations that they get themselves into are just funny and fun and entertaining. I think with changing schools and classroom rules, with the kids moving, when we were coming up, 7th grade was junior high for us, but now they have taken it a step back where the 6th graders are now middle school kids. And so this book will help them to cope with whatever it is that they may be faced with when they go into middle school. Now, this is not to teach them anything. In my mind, as the writer, I'm not teaching you anything. This is just strictly entertaining and fun. But there are some things that are in the book that will make you go, or it is teaching you a little bit about something. The next book, which is called Braces and Glasses, imagine that, is strictly fun also. This is Alex thinking that, okay, my mom is saying next year I may have to get braces because I have an overbite. Well, what is an overbite? I don't overbite my food. So what is she talking about? So she's going through a lot in this book where she's trying to save face in front of her friends, and they're letting her know it's okay. If you have to get braces, so be it. It's not the end of the world. But towards the middle and going into the end of the book, she realizes that she's having problems with her vision as well. So now she's faced with getting braces and glasses. Are you kidding me? But the situations that she get into leading up to her wanting or having to get these braces and glasses just doesn't seem real. So what's really going on? And you won't find out what's really going on until the end of the book. You decipher, the child will decipher what's really going on at the end of the book. So the third book is actually called Smart Alec-Alex, The Vacation from Hello Operator Help. Now this one is more on the goosebump side, where there's a lot of strange things and ghosts and all that other stuff happening, but it's hilarious. It's really funny. I think it's going to be one of the best ones in the series. But Alex, me creating her is basically just pure entertainment and fun. And that's something that I don't see a lot of in the African American children books, especially children chapter books. The younger ones with all the color and one or two sentences on each page, that's fine and cool. But the older ones, they need to be reading as well. And in order to get them, in order to really grasp their attention, you have to make it interesting for them. Going back to the festival I did at the mall during Christmas, one little girl was just so excited. I'm like, I wrote the book, but I hadn't read it in a while. And she's coming up to me and she's so excited about it. She's just reciting so many different things within the book. I'm like, wow, she's really she really read the book and she really digests what was going on within the stories,
Right.
because she's actually telling me verbatim what's going on. So, that really made me feel happy, because again, this is not a book that's teaching you about bullying and your skin color. And another thing, I'm light skinned and so is my daughter. When you look at African American books, the kids are usually dark skinned or brown skinned. You don't see a lot of light skinned kids. So I wanted to make Alex a light skinned kid. So her and her friends, they're all different shades, because we, as African Americans, we come in all different colors or different
Absolutely.
shades. So, I definitely wanted to throw that in there, that there are different shades. There's just not just one shade. And that's what I was saying. I just wanted to change it up a little bit and hope that it would stick.
Now you mentioned your target audience, the 9 to 12-year-olds, that writing for them, you have to capture their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose that target audience specifically? Because obviously, like you mentioned, younger children books, you can throw 4 sentences on a page and have colorful images and get and not saying it's less work, but it's
Right.
is a lower word count. So obviously
Right.
you would be able to put multiple books out with the word count you have in a chapter, middle grade chapter book. So why was it important for you to tackle the 9 to 12-year-old target audience?
Because they can understand, they would understand better. I just felt like I can sit here with a 9 to 12-year-old and actually have a conversation, and them understand what I'm talking about without me having to go too deep or explain. With a smaller child, there's a lot of guidance that need to be handed to the younger audience, and there's handholding. What I find a little difficult, and I think I just put this out there a couple of days ago, with the ones that have done the colorful books with the 2, 3, 4 lines of sentence, it's easier for you to get up there with the smaller children and actually read to them. But when you're dealing with the 9 to 12-year-old, what are some of the activities that I could use to appeal to an older children's audience? Like I said, I just feel like because I have a childlike mind, a lot of things that I do creativity wise, I feel like they would understand. They would understand me more. I'm one of those who like to explain a lot. With a smaller child, you don't have to go in depth with in the conversation with the smaller child that you would with an older child. And I just think that the older ones don't read enough. They don't read enough. My daughter, when she was younger, she read a lot. But once she started, being in the middle of middle school, going into high school, I really didn't see, unless it was just her homework and her reading or studying, but to read any other type of book, she wasn't doing it. These kids they're on social media. They need to learn to use their own brain and be able to read. So I wanted to tackle that audience. I think me, being who I am, could relate better to an older audience. And so I have a lot to say. So I really enjoy doing the chapter series. My hands, once I get into that creative mood, my hands get away from me and I'm typing up a storm, and before you know it, I've already got 125 pages. So the smaller books, or the books that are for the 3 to 8 year olds, I don't think would satisfy me as a writer.
Now you mentioned the kids not reading enough and spending so much time on social media. It's very ironic because obviously with these quarantines, you have parents posting all the time that they're trying to continuously find activities or something to watch on TV to keep their kids occupied. But in our day, a book did that. You know what I mean?
Right.
A book can take you, even if you're outside, even when you're outside, you're in libraries with multiple people, a book will take you to another place and you use your imagination. And why do you think in our society today, even with the quarantine issue and kids not being receptive to using their imagination and relying on social media and technology to basically think for them, why do you think that's still occurring when we know it's become a big issue for kids?
I think it's because the parents. It all starts with the parents. You have to kind of crack down and allot time. I don't see anything wrong with looking at some things on social media or doing things on social media, but you got to break it up. Again, at that book festival, there was a young girl. She was the youngest author. She was 12 years old. And I did a radio spot with her. And just to hear her talk at 12 years old, I was totally blown. I'm like, okay, this little girl has been here before, because she's not even talking like a 12. She's not even talking like a 12-year-old. I'm like, I got one book while she has 5, that were already out that she had written, because she told her mom she wanted to write, and her mother was like, well, I don't know what to do. Where do I go? Where do I start? And she explained that a lot of her peers, they need to be disciplined and allot time for certain things. She seemed to be very organized. And so, she stated that I don't really like to be on social media that often. I don't want to be buried into social media where I'm not learning other things and other crafts and stuff like that outside of social media. I don't want to just depend on social media. And so, but she's saying, but that's not to say that I don't get on social media and text my friends and everything, but I allot time when I do that, because if I don't, then it takes me away from all the other important things that I need to do, like my homework and studying and stuff like that. So, if the child is not disciplined enough to do that, then the parents need to step in. But it's so hard because it's, a lot of parents today, especially women, with single parents, you're taking care of your kids. You got to work. Some have part-time jobs. You're not home enough to facilitate those type of things. And when they get home, they're so tired. They don't want to be bothered. So they leave the child to their own devices. So, it has to start with the parent. I will admit that, no, I was not one of those that would come home and I'm too tired and I don't want to be bothered and this and that and the other. But I did not discipline my daughter where it's like, okay, look, India, you need to just do your homework and do this and that and the other. You can only be on social media from 6 to 7, but from 7 to 9 before you go to bed, you're going to do your homework. You need to read a couple of pages of this book and, stuff like that. There were some things that I would do with her, but it wasn't something that was consistent. But then I was lucky enough to get one of those that could basically, juggle. She was always a straight A student throughout school. Didn't have any problems with her. Even in college, she was on the dean's list. I didn't have no problem with her. She was able to multitask. So I didn't have to set boundaries for her. But there are some kids that, like, if I was a kid, my mother would have to set boundaries for me. She would definitely have to set boundaries because I'm all about fun. I don't want to do no work. That's just me. I don't want. That's just boring. And if it doesn't appeal to me, I ain't doing it. That type of deal. So I would definitely need those boundaries. But again, to answer your question, it's got to start with the parents, and you got to know your child. You got to know your child. So I think it's good. There's some things they should know. I don't have any problems with social media, but at the same time, just like that young lady, 12-year-old that was at the book festival, it should be allotted to do certain things, and that's that. There is no negotiating. These parents today negotiate with their kids, and why? Because they're kids.
Right. So how do you prepare for book festivals? I know you mentioned that you had a bunch scheduled. I know you mentioned being at a few of them. How do you prepare for them?
Well, first of all, I seek them out. I write down the ones and go on the internet and look at them to see if it's right for me, because not every book festival is right for you. So you determine whether or not you want to do that festival or not. Once you get all the information that is necessary to fill out the registration, of course, all the book festivals have a fee. So, that's another thing. Can you afford that fee? And once you have deciphered it, if you can afford it and you signed up for it, basically, then that's when I kind of kick it into overdrive. I am just above and beyond in everything that I do. And I know me doing that, I lose a lot of money. But like I said, it's not about the money for me. I just want to make sure that I put out the best product possible and be able to draw in my audience with whatever it is that I'm presenting to them. Again, this year, what I'm trying is, I give the kids actual backpacks that, have Smart Alex on it. They're graffiti bags, actually. They're pretty cool. And on the bottom of them, they have a Smart Alec-Alex. And then I also got cups that are mood cups. So they change colors depending on what type of liquid you put in it. If you water, juice or soda. And I have actually created a logo for Smart Alec-Alex. And so on that cup is the logo. I also have the lanyards, which says, I love to read. So they get those. There's stickers of Smart Alec-Alex. And, along with that, when they buy the book, they get all those things in that bag. They get the bookmarkers, they get the actual book. There's thank you cards. Like I said, I have a whole array of stuff, and I usually give all of that stuff away just as at the price of the book, which is $10. And I do at least 25 per show. If I happen to sell more than 25, my best friend is like, well, if you happen to sell 25, then they just get the book and that's that, or a bookmark. But I always have something laid off to the side that I give the kids that come later, or if I have sold out of the first 25. I kind of feel bad, and I want to give them and I want to give them something too. So, I kind of,
right.
I keep a really big array of things that would appeal to the kids. So that's and I order probably like maybe once a month, and just put stuff to a side And as I do the show, I'm already prepared and ready to go. I have a lot of people at my job that buy the books. So, if I order the books to sell on my own, I always add like an extra 50 along with whatever it is that I buy, because a lot of the people, and I don't know why the people refuse to go on Amazon to actually buy the book, because it's still the same price. They just rather
Right.
get it from me. I guess it saves them shipping or or whatever the case may be. I had to kind of stop them at one point in time, because I think on my first book festival I did, or actually it was the signing, the opening of Alex, just starting out. When I came to work that Monday after doing it, those who actually bought the book online that wasn't able to come to the book signing was standing at my desk in a line waiting for me to sign it. And I'm like, no, can't do that. We work for the federal government. I'm not trying to get in trouble, because you can't be doing the business on the job and everything. It was just crazy. So, I just tell people, look, just let me know you have the book and I'll come to your desk and sign it. But, but to be standing in a line at my desk, no, that ain't cool. We can't do that. Yeah. So, I just
looking at you like you crazy.
Right. Exactly. And like I said, I'm not trying to get in trouble. But I just, like I said, I go above and beyond in all the things that I do when it comes to the giveaways. People ask, well, what do you do for marketing? I have videos. I put videos out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mock-ups, you name it. I have a lot of stuff that I put out probably every other day, just so I'm not even going to give you a chance to forget about Smart Alec-Alex. My ultimate goal is to, and I thought of this, but one lady already did it. And this was a white lady too. She said, I took a chance and I went out there on Instagram and I said, look, hey, I know you don't know me, but X, Y, and Z. And she went into her story. And I think her book has something to do with autism or something like that. But she actually reached out to Howie Mandel. And he reached back out to her. And
Really?
they started talking, and so now he's endorsing and doing things with her that would help her book to get out there and stuff like that. Well, that was something that I wanted to do from the very beginning. My thing is, okay, I want at least 2 or 3 books under my belt before I start approaching people. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, now I'm getting ready to say, hey, I know you don't know me, but and then tell them about the book. And you never know where it can lead. You got people like Tyler Perry that are just, looking for ordinary people to do certain things. So, my ultimate goal is to turn Smart Alec-Alex into a cartoon. I want her to be the new Penny Proud. Yep. That's what I want.
So did you ever fit, is a theme song complete that you were working on?
Yeah, kind of. I was playing around with some lyrics, and I did a little small rap in regards to I guess I'm supposed to be Alex, the rap that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But I can let you hear. Let me crank up my phone real quick and let you hear a little bit of the music.
Nice.
And give you an idea of what I'm saying. Let's see here. my last name. I'm fun, I'm sweet, I like to read. Come on, gang, just follow me. That's pretty much it.
That's dope. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
because it's crazy because we are capturing this moment of where you're at in this process, because most people are going to see it and think and not see the hard work you're putting behind it. Like, you're like the ultimate hustler. You're like, you're doing the song for it. You're doing the lyrics for it. You have you have the shirts out. You know what I mean? And most people are going to just see, like, as you know, a lot of people, once you drop the third book, most people are going to be introduced to you probably at a festival when you got a third book out and all of this is already in place, but they're not seeing the process. So
Right.
how important is the process in understanding the hard work that goes into it for aspiring writers who are just listening to this and don't even understand everything you're doing? So how important is the process into getting to the final product to you?
Yeah, it's very important. Like I said, I'm one of those who go above and beyond, but it just doesn't come that easy. You have to do the research. I give all the credit to the illustrator and writer focus group on Facebook for just everybody and for the ones for African American illustrators and writers. They have helped me tremendously. It wasn't something that came easy. I definitely had to sit back and grasp the concept as well as what I needed to do, how I needed to do it, and who I needed to get with in order to make it happen. Now that I have not mastered it, but I definitely understand the process. And so it is a little easier for me. I think the biggest part of it would be the financial part of it. It would be a blessing if I could get the financial backing, because if I did, I definitely think that this would take off to a whole nother level. But that's definitely in the works. So my advice to other authors, the process is you got to do the research. You can't just jump right into it. Like I said, it didn't come easy for me. I definitely had, and I asked a lot of questions to the point where I just knew that I was just getting on people's nerves, because I was also asking the same questions over and over and over again. I definitely needed to be able to understand what it is that I was doing and to, basically grasp what it was that I needed to do. And like I said, they have been a great deal of help for me. So as long as you do that and be persistent about what you're doing, then anybody can do it. If I can do it, I'm definitely going to say anybody can do it. Because I'm just, I get a little impatient, and I'm one of those that will, I will. IKEA, you got to build everything. And I'm one of those that don't like to look at the directions. I'll look at the picture before I look at the directions, and then try to figure out how to. Right. I ain't got time to be reading and doing all that. I need to know what I'm doing right then and there. So for me to actually take a step back and do the research and listen to what people are telling me in order for me to put this together, you can do it too.
Now, what is one thing that you would have done differently through this whole publishing journey? If you can go back to speak to Taunya from a year ago, 2 years ago, and sit there and say, hey, don't do this. Or give me two things. Give me one of don't do this, and give me another of absolutely do this, that's something that you've done that worked out. And then obviously something that you've done that you would tell others not to do.
In this particular journey?
Yeah, your publishing journey. Period. So if you can go back, anything you've done different or anything you wish
Oh,
you
okay,
would
I
have done
got you. What I would not do that I did before, I did mention earlier, is to, which I didn't know they were called this, is to get with a vanity company. The company that I used, what were they called? Outskirt. They were called Outskirt Press. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. It is self-publishing because, I'm writing it, and they did the editing. I did the cover. But once all that's said and done, where do we go from here? They don't do any marketing. They don't do anything that goes above and beyond to see your product in motion. They leave everything up to you, and you've already spent anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000, and you don't recoup that money back. The royalties, I didn't see anything. I didn't see any royalties, and I know that I've sold some books, but I never got a check from them for royalties. So I would never, when people are on that chat room, and what I can proudly say now is that I can offer advice now, that I know the process of publishing. When people are out there asking questions, as I did 9-10 months ago, now I can answer those questions in those chat rooms. And people do come in there and they want to know, well, what do you think about this company? Has anybody experienced anything with this company? And we all tell them, do not sign up with any of those companies. You can do this on your own. And what people don't realize is that when you're self-publishing and you go through Kindle Direct Publishing, which is a subsidiary of Amazon, it is free. You don't pay anything. It is free. So that's the biggest thing. Outside of that, do not rush. Do not rush, because you want to be able to put out the best product possible. And the reason why I say that, the first book, I think it took about 6 months, the illustration part of it. I think I got a little crazy, and this guy is a sweetheart, Christophe. He's my illustrator. I think I got a little crazy because I had to think, okay, how long did it take him to do the illustrations for the first book? When I gave everything to him for the second book was in the end of November. I was in communications with him for a good 2 months, and I didn't realize, and I put a lot of pressure on him, but he stuck with me through it all. And like I said, the book just came out about a month ago. So that was definitely not within 6 months. His illustrations were done by the end of January. And,
wow.
It takes time. Yeah, it takes time to edit your book. And it definitely takes time for the formatter to put everything together for you. But after everything was said and done, I really felt bad, and I had to apologize to him. There are some pros and cons. Being that he is in India, he still speaks English. I have spoken to him a couple of times. His English is not that good, but it's enough where we can communicate. So there were some language barriers there when I'm trying to explain what it is that I want. Some things he would understand, and other things he may not understand, and I would have to send him back to the drawing board. Those are the things that I kind of feel bad about. And so now, I'm like cognizant about the time frame, because I'm like, why am I so frustrated with this? How long did it take the first time? And I'm like, okay, cool. I just reached out to the guy at the end of April. We started working the beginning of May. and the book didn't come out. I didn't finish everything until like the end of October. So that was like, 6 months or so. Here I give him the second book, and I'm on him like white on rice. And and I'm like, I want this done like now type of deal. And within 2.5, maybe 3 months, but I'm sure it was very difficult for him because, believe it or not, those who have seen the illustrations for Alex and they ask me, who am I using? He's been getting a lot of work. So he was becoming a little overwhelmed because a lot of people was inquiring his services. But, my thing is, well, I was here first. And I'm like, no,
exactly.
Taunya. Yeah.
I'll put you on.
Right. So, and I'm loyal, and I'm telling you, I want you to do the illustrations for all of Alex, period. So, he knows for me, he's got a job because he's going to always do what I need for Alex. But, I had to take a step back and be like, okay, he's still a person. You can't pressure them and stuff like that, because he could just pick up one day and say, look, I don't want to do this no more. So I don't want to risk that. So, I had to smooth it out, even though he didn't show me that he was mad or frustrated or anything like that, and his thing is, and I didn't agree with this, but because he's working for me and I'm paying him, he looks at me and anybody else that he's working with, we're gods to them. Right. Because the money that we're giving them, the value is not the same. It's definitely not the same. So our money is worth more. And so, and I had to realize, I didn't know if he was working a 9 to 5 and doing this on the side, but no, he has an actual company where he has other illustrators. And where I was getting a little frustrated was, he would give me the 12 illustrations for each chapter, and they would be just still drawings. But then when I get the actual black and white drawings, they would look little different. And I'd be like, well, why does this look different? It doesn't look like what you gave me before. And what was happening was, if he got too overwhelmed or too busy, then he would give the project to another one of the illustrators. And of course, everybody doesn't draw the same, so, right. But, I think we're on the same page now. We had to get an understanding on what it was that I was expecting, as well as me understanding that he's just not the only one that's working there. But I was getting spoiled because I'm like, it's like a hairdresser. I don't want anybody to do my hair but you. I've been coming to you all along, and I know your work, and so therefore I want you to do it. And so I kind of got that way with him, because he's the one that created Alex. Even though he had a drawing of mine that gave him the idea, he still was the creator. And so I have that special bond with him. And as long as he's doing it, then I'm good. So, so those are some of the things that I would suggest that people, kind of be patient, do your research, and do not get with these vanity companies.
Now, you mentioned obviously the future plans, obviously what's next for Smart Alec-Alex series, but what's next for you? Obviously, once we all go back to our normal lives, our normal routines, once the quarantines are lifted, what are your next moves in terms of getting out there and continuing your brand and your business?
For now, I think I'm just gonna kind of keep it steady. The third book is definitely underway. Once I have enough material under my belt, then I can basically do other things that I want to do. With two Yeah, I may be able to approach other people, but I think I would feel better if I had that third one with me,
Mm.
and then I could start approaching people in regards to, like I said, the sweatshirts and the t-shirts have really taken on a form of their own, and it's a little hard to keep up because it is expensive, but I enjoy doing it, so I don't really complain. But if I can get some people or a person to invest, and we go into this together, then I would be able to do more with that. And then, like I said, African Americans, these celebrities and stuff like that, they have really taken a step up in helping other people and investing in getting involved in different things. So I'm definitely going to reach out to some of them and see if I can get them to help with promoting my book, so we can get larger sales and get Alex out there worldwide. I definitely want her to become one of the most popular African American Children Chapter series. About a couple of months ago, I went up to Jersey and saw Stephanie Mills just hanging out, and she brought her son on the stage. I think his name is Farad, and I had no idea. Number one, she had a son, but I definitely did not know that she had a son that was mentally challenged, or he had Down syndrome or something like that. But he wrote a book, and it was called The Adventures of Farad. And so my thing is, I want to support her. I want to take a look at his book and support her. But in turn, I want you to, I wouldn't even maybe charge her. I would just send it to her. But the fact that she has it, and even if she took one picture with it, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's right. The power of suggestion. When you see one person with it who is of some kind of stature, then everybody follows. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I really would love for my book to get in the hands of Blue Ivy. Because to me, right, to me, she is Smart Alec-Alex, in my opinion. And to have her, be on Instagram talking about, this book that she done read, or talking about Smart Alec-Alex, would really do something for getting it out there. So that's basically my next step. I think after that, right now, I'm going to do the book festivals. I'm going to continue to create and sell the T-shirts. I'm going to continue to give out all these paraphernalias and things that come along with the book at the festival. But I think once that third book hits out there, then that's when I'm going to probably go strong. Haven't decided, or I haven't really thought about how am I going to use the music. Where am I going to use the music? The only place I use it now is there is a app called, I think it's called Mo Show. I think it's M-O Show. And it creates videos for the pictures. So I take Alex's 12 illustrations and I put it in Mo Show. And they have different type of sequences within the program, and then it's done with music. You can use their music, or you can use your own music. And in this instance, I use my own music. So that is what you heard. That is Alex's theme song. So I mean, basically that's it for me. I'm just trying to get it out there as much as possible, and trying to get people to buy the book and to talk more about it. And I would like to find a way to be able to interact with the older kids. I need to come up with some sort of curriculum myself. I asked the teacher to share with me what it is that she do with the kids. I think one of them is that she has them read it and read a couple of chapters at a time and create a Q&A. In the second book, I did do something to that effect. In the back of the book, I have a word search for braces and glasses. So if you read the book, the words that are in the word search, you would recognize because it's in the book. And on the flip side of that is a Q&A of the characters and what can you tell me about the characters and which character does this and which character does that, just to get them acclimated to the characters and know, to know the characters personally. Now I'll tell you a secret. Right. After the third book, which is Hello Operator Help, The Vacation from Hello Operator Help, and that's basically spring break with her and her friends. Her friends are actually going with her and her mom to visit her grandmother, and her grandmother lives in the bayou, and it's very dark and scary. So that's going to be pretty hilarious. But after that book, because I want to appeal to boys as well, because Smart Alec-Alex is not just for girls. I don't want the guys to look at it and be like, oh, that's a girl's book, because it's a girl on the cover and, and all that stuff, which, it doesn't seem to be, because the boys in that particular class enjoyed it as well. But that's just that class. I want to appeal to, all the kids. So I'm having Christophe create me an extra boy, because right now I only have one boy, which is Calvin. So this character, his name is going to be Arrogant Aaron. He's going to be Alex's male alter ego.
Nice. And is that going to be would that be a book 4, or would that be a whole different series?
He's going to be added. He's going to be added to Smart Alec-Alex. Now, I am drumming up an idea for a series that is just, I guess, not geared towards just boys, but it would be a boy series. And his name is Pesky Pete. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I got a lot of things. It's just jumbled up in my head, written up on paper and all kinds of stuff. But I'm just a busy bee right now, just keeping busy with Alex and trying to get her out there and known. I've done a couple of other radio shows. I just did one actually yesterday called Chat and Spin, which is in Europe, and nice. Through Ingram Spark, which is a major distributor of books. And when you're going to libraries and when you're going to schools and stuff like that, they want to know, is your book with Ingram Spark? Because that's where they would buy it. They would buy it from Ingram Spark in bulk. So I was just informed that Alex is, I'm not sure where you're located, but here in Maryland, Bowie, Maryland, PG County has placed Smart Alec-Alex in the Bowie, Maryland library. So cool. For those who don't have it or can't buy it, it's there for them to rent free, or what have you. And then, like I said, there's so many kids out there that are doing their own little YouTube channels. One kid actually reviewed my book. I think his show is called Universal Popcorn. He started out as selling popcorn, but he introduced reading and eating popcorn at the same time. So he did a review on Smart Alec-Alex. And that worked out pretty well. So, I'm just getting people's feedback as we go along and just doing the best that I can to keep the kids entertained and, worried free. Like now these kids, now they have, they're at home. because of the pandemic. And here in Maryland, it's kind of funny because what they have them doing is they're doing online classes, or they're doing, I think it's Zoom, where the whole class is together and, they do their curriculum activities via Skype or whatever the case may be. And then for those who don't have internet services, our news channel is actually getting on certain parts of the day and giving these kids their assignments. So it's, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. But they're also, I'm seeing an influx of different things popping out on social media in regards to getting these kids to read more. So that's definitely, that's definitely something that I want to be a part of. So if I can throw Alex in there however I can, I'm good.
Now tell everybody where they can find the Smart Alec-Alex books, and also how they can contact you, your website, your social media, all your information.
Okay. My pen name would be T.D.Said. But I did add my first name, which is Taunya, because it was hard. It was getting hard for people to find me. And then when they meet me, there was, no name for them to address me by. So I just gave everybody my name, Taunya. So my website is www.smartalec-alex, and Alec is without the K. So smartalec-alex.com. You can check my website for paraphernalias. You can check my website for readings or just guest appearances or book festivals. All that stuff is on my website. I am on Instagram, so it's T.D.Said. My Facebook page is TD Said 1, and that's Facebook. And you can definitely reach me through my website, or if you want to email me directly, it is tdtsproductions with an S at yahoo.com.
All right. And that was the Fiction Addiction podcast interview with Taunya D. Said. Taunya, thank you so much for a great interview.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us on the Fiction Addiction Podcast. Make sure you visit fictionaddictionpodcast.com for links on everything we talked about today, as well as awesome resources, additional tips, and Fiction Addiction merchandise.